let me ask you. So what we discussed is regarding the traditional, DNS, right? So what are the issues with the traditional DNS? So we have discussed couple of them. Like one of the thing was it is not providing your true availability, right? So DNS cannot determine if site is up or not, even if it does not exist. But there is some resource record available. It will give you the response. Everybody is on the same page? Yes or no?
Okay.
Right. Then we talked only one, load balancing method in the traditional DNS, round robin only. Right. No ability to do the persistence. Then if changes are required, the changes need to be done on the bind server manually, and there is very high chances for the errors if there are lot of records which are over there, and it can only answer a limited, I would say very limited DNS queries per second, and highly vulnerable to the DDoS kind of attacks, whatever security perspective we talk about. Okay, I hope there should not be any question to that. Secondly, we talked about that when we have the DNS, maybe I will say FIDNS. Okay. When we have FIDNS server in the place, it can direct user to the nearest data center. And I talked about the anycast routing. That is also we have talked about. So this ensure your distributed applications are always fast and available. Second, it provides you a wide range of global load balancing, methods, and intelligent monitoring to each application and each user. It also routes the traffic according to the business policies or maybe current network and user condition. Let us say who is the closest one. Continuous monitor, either it is up or down. Services should be up always. Scalability. Hundreds and thousands of the million of DNS query it can handle per second. We talked about that. I hope all of you are on the same page for this particular stuff also. So if I will say FIDNS, what kind of services it provide? It provides location-based routing. Do let me know if anybody has any question on this. Second, it can also help with the DDoS protection. Then it does actively monitoring, or maybe we can say automatic failover. Then it provides something, maybe we can say DNS firewall services. Then something we talked about, GSLB. And what obvious, DNS security protection. Any doubt?
So the name of this module is still DNS or it's GTM?
Earlier it was GTM. That was a former name.
Okay, like for the ASM, now it's advanced WAF. Now they have,
it is now
okay. FIDNS. All right. Okay.
So these all services, probably we can say these are the big IP intelligent DNS features.
Location-based routing. All right.
Sorry, let me just. Okay. Don't worry, we will be gonna touch these topics, okay, individually also, but later on, not now. But the thing is, what I am trying to tell you, whatever I speak up earlier, the thing is bit like from the internet, in your data center, there should be some firewall. After
Yep.
the firewall, there would be some load balancer. After the load balancer, there can be couple of the DNS servers. But the legacy environment, probably I am going to talk about. So this was the traditional way DNS server. To increase your DNS capacity, that you can add more than one DNS server and load balance them using some load balancer. And even then, probably your request per second you can increase, maybe better than one. It would be, you would have some more. Okay, 2, 3, 4, how so many. But now if we talk about the F5 Big IP DNS, what happened is internet. From internet, you have the Big IP DNS, right? And maybe you can say the one master server if you want to have. If you want to have the earlier, let us say with the DNS server, you don't want to get it resolved, use one master server and let Big IP DNS. There is something named as zone transfer. Probably we will be going to talk about that later on. But you can say before that, who is coming into the picture? Big IP DNS. What all components we removed? Firewall removed, LB removed, all of these kind of different servers removed. Only Big IP DNS. Let me tell you, the Big IP DNS is ICSA certified, one of the compliance. If you want to read more about it, you can read from, what was that, 13254 maybe, if I'm not wrong. You can just go to this KB article and you can learn more about it. What is ICSA and all of those things. What we will be going to do in the practical, I will show you. Okay, don't worry, I will show you in the practical. That we will transfer the zones from the traditional network or from the traditional DNS to the FIDN. DNS zone transfer. Who will be the authoritative server now? Big IP. It will be authoritative server. What is the use? Use is hyperscale with 200%. They claim, F5 claim it. Okay, these are you can find into the documents also if you will follow the documents. Up to 200% rapid response will be faster. So you can say 200x rather than a what to say, prime DNS server or maybe your traditional DNS server. And performance increases, they just talked about 500x performance rather than a bind, traditional bind. Is this part clear?
Okay.
So we already talked about it. Yeah, I just give you the glimpse like how these things need to be done into your environment.
So just wanted to ask one thing, like where in this data center scenario GTM sits? Like generally what happens is there will be a routing appliance, right? After that, there will be a firewall. Then it comes.
That is what I told you. That if earlier clients may be coming from routing to the firewall and from firewall to your DNS server, let us say.
Yeah.
Okay? But now clients need to go from routing services to the DNS directly. That is your FI DNS I am talking about.
All right.
No more firewall is bottleneck. So firewall bottleneck is no more there. Bottleneck is no more there.
All right.
Okay. One more thing you can achieve if we talk about these kind of deployments. So you guys are aware F5 provide you the hardware. F5 provide you the virtual edition and maybe the hybrid one over the cloud. So all of these three options you can opt and you can use into your environment. Getting this point? And can you tell me
Yep.
what is the base of the TMOS?
Linux.
Yeah, it is Linux, right? Since it is on the top of the Linux Unix, let me tell you one thing. F5 has its own bind server as well. Bind is the Linux utility, yeah. So it has the bind already there. I will show you even in the classes once our lab is up. But if you just run a command over maybe the bash mode with named -v, it will show you what kind of bind is there. So F5 has bind also. Even some of the practical, when I will be gonna teach you about the couple of the practicals, I will show you later on. I will show you the records also, resource record on the local F5. Okay.
So bind is a Unix or Linux utility that holds all your DNS records, right?
Right.
Okay.
So one class was also there, Robin, before on Sunday. You joined on Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So there was an introductory class only, but it was on Sunday. So it is over there on the YouTube also. But yeah, you will get all the recordings and everything probably from Zoya. So maybe you can go through that. Okay, where I just provided about these of the little bit stuff. 1 hour class, I hope that one.
Okay.
So bind is the local Linux utility. So even though I am providing you the recap, right, to both of you. Then I told you about TTL. Can anybody tell me what is TTL? Maybe Deepak, you?
Time to live.
Yeah, time to live.
Time to live. And where it is required?
To prevent the loops.
So yeah, in case of routing, it is there for to prevent the loops. But here it is bit like, if I will just say, it is expiry time for record. Okay. So generally people set it 86400, which is into the seconds equivalent to 1. What happened is, if you just talk about the flow, LDNS, when do all kind of queries, response will come to the LDNS. Next time, it will not perform all the queries, but it will cache the entry, right? For how much time? TTL.
Yep.
Okay. So this time can be lower during the migration. Let us say you have some migrations, okay? And that migration will take, let us say, 30 minutes. You can reduce this time to the 30 minutes. Or maybe 1 hour, let us say. Okay. So you can say that, okay, let the change the settings of the TTL equivalent to 600 seconds, 1 hour only. So that if there is something which getting changed in your environment, all the cache will be get deleted and it will gonna learn again. Will do the all kind of iteration queries or recursive queries, what kind of queries are, it will do again. So that is your TT. Now, what happened is, let us say you have a bind server. Already you are using it. It has some IP, let us say 1.1.1.1. Earlier, You will make all the configuration on the GTM box, although we will be going to talk about these things later on, but just I am, because we talked about it, so I am just giving the visibility. Let us say you have the GTM interfaces and everything. You put all the configuration, disable these GTM interfaces. Okay, cables are there, configuration is there, hookup the cables are there, everything is there. Now during cutover, what you will do, you will, since you have the same IP address over here for the listener, okay, what you will do, you will just unplug this cable and make this up. Once this part is done, even your IP change is also not required. All the request which was going earlier to the bind, now will move to the GTM. Cutover I am talking about. Okay.
Yeah. Basically, in the case of bind, that will be onto the firewall. I mean, somewhere netting onto the firewall. If you can say external request.
External total required. Yep.
Uh,
Because that is what.
Yeah, that's fine. That's why I understood the concept, what you're saying here. Yeah. Okay. And what is this DNS zone? You were saying like at the time of migration.
Zone transfer. I will be going to talk. Don't worry.
Okay.
I will show you what is zone transfer, how we can achieve it.
Yep.
Then, whenever your LDNS does not have some kind of entry, it will do queries, okay, and it will just check the root domain, top level domain, and lot of the things, right? You already aware till the authoritative server is there and the name server available on that. So once it has everything, even into your command prompt, you can check the DNS command prompt. You can check the DNS entries. What is the command, guys?
NS lookup.
It is IP.
Oh, IP config. Yeah, all.
Then slash
all.
display DNS.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Let me show you. Okay. Let me open the command prompt. So IP config display DNS. You can see.
Display spelling was
display DNS. So you can see a record, what kind of record, what is the data length, record type. There are a lot of things you can see over there. Even you can make some kind of request to one of the website. Let me do it, okay? Just to show you. Let me do it right away, maybe to the NetMinion, and let me show you how you can check NetMinion. Okay, so it should be cached that here. Is there any way I can make some filters? You guys are aware?
No.
It's okay. So you can apply the filter using the keyword find string. Okay. Let me just find out with .NET maybe. Here you go. Can you see? Only .NET websites you can see there. And NetMinion.net is also there. So that is how probably you can check even local DNS entries in your own cache, or maybe I will say in the Windows PC. What is LDNS, by the way?
Local DNS.
Right. So it is a bit like your recursive resolver. Like boss is asking some information from the employee, and LDNS employee will send those queries to the root servers. By the way, let me tell you, it is generally a common misconception that there is 13 root servers. Okay, in many of blogs, you can able to find out managed by different organizations, but Currently, there are so many, okay, more than 30. But yeah, usually people in the day-to-day communication says that there are 30 root servers available. So eventually, root server will send you some kind of top level domain. Top level domain, you will going to be maybe if we are reading about the big IP. So somehow it will be gonna go on the big IP DNS name server. Okay, Deepak, making sense?
Yeah.
Any doubts so far?
No.
So if you remember, last time I just talked about this thing only, that there is a client. Client will interact with the DNS, right? LDNS will check it with root. Then root will send to the top level, TLV, right? From there, somehow it will be gonna go to the big IP. Once this request reach to the client back, it will gonna send it to the browser, and the communication will get placed. Somebody can tell me what kind of query from here to here?
Recursive,
From here to here?
iterative.
Similarly, here also iterative. Similarly, here also. Okay. So those kind of queries already we have.
So I have one question here. So you're saying that because the whole purpose of introducing this DNS is to replace our LDNS, isn't it?
No.
So why we are introducing big IP in here?
Let us understand. On to the f5.com. Okay. f5.com, there should be f5 DNS servers, yes or no?
Yes.
But when you, as a customer, is going to the f5 site, what is your LDNS?
Sorry?
What is your LDNS?
My company's own.
Company's own, or maybe if you are in the home, the ISP which provided you, no?
Yeah.
The modem. So it's not about LDNS change. It's about the F5 zone. Getting this point?
No, sorry, I haven't got it.
Okay. So treat it two ways communications. Okay, you are just thinking about one way. Treat it two ways. F5 zone, F5 corporate team should using this F5, internet portal. And external users are also. Yes or no?
It's I mean, sorry to say, but it's creating a bit of a confusion because I don't understand what is zone.
What is zone? Zone is nothing. Maybe you can say, let us say, you have, okay, you have Anil dot support dot f5.com. Read it from right to left. It is root server. It is .com server. This is under the F5 zone. This is subzone, subdomain. Okay, F5 domain or zone, maybe whatever you wanted to say, you can say. Okay, so this is bit like your zone. Now, as many as dot will keep on adding, the subdomains will be keep on adding. Bit like you have support team, bit like you have customer care team, bit like you have sales team, bit like you have operations team. So there can be sales.fi.com separate, operation fi.com separate, customer care fi.com separate, support, fi.com, separate. All of them come into main zone fi. Got this point?
So can we say domain is equal to zone?
Just give me one. And let us say there is similarly, there is one more company, NetMinion. NetMinion.com this time, okay, because I am just talking about .com. So NetMinion.com. Similarly, support.netminion.com. Separate, subdomain, but main zone NetMinion.com. Then info or maybe something, okay, netminion.com. So there is one zone for the NetMinion, and all of them come under .com zone. Getting this point? And there can be n number of zones into the .com. So there actually you just understand it with the name domain, okay? Because zone is a file where we keep all the resource records. So that is why I was interchanging these two words, but you just think about it domain. Okay. What is point?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah. So domain is equal to zone. That means if we have a one subdomain, F5 is a main domain, and then we have a support.f5.com, right? That will have a, in addition to F5 zone, we'll have a subzone as well for support.f5,
We can
right?
have, yeah, we can have subdomains. Maybe you just say this time subdomains, because zone is a file. Okay, zone is a file.
Yeah.
I will show you in some time where you will write down your resource record in kind of bind server. We will create this, and I will show you at that time.
Resource records like your A record or MX
Like
record or something.
AAA
PTR.
record. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay. Okay, got it.
Clear to you, Deepak?
Yeah, clear.
So when I was saying that some of the users from outside, they will go to the LDNS eventually. After the LDNS, they will talk with the root. From the root, they will go to the top level domain. This time it can be .com, let us say. After this, there would be Big IP DNS. Who is Big IP DNS? Who is maintaining complete FI zone? Getting this point? Or maybe domain. I am just right. Let me just change the name. And there can be subdomains also. Okay.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah. Okay, maybe in coming slides, we'll discuss what's the benefit, like why we have to introduce this thing. As of now, like I'm not able to understand what's the purpose. Because anyhow, we are having LDNS, it's already doing all sort of iterative queries.
Listen. There is LDNS here. But for this particular domain also, there should be some DNS. No. We are replacing those DNS from the Big IP DNS. Because there can be n number of queries which are coming. All those points which I described in the very first minute of our class, like security, like request per second, like blah, 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 all of those things. Now just consider it, once the packet is coming in FI domain, those benefits we are getting or we are getting achieved from the Big IP DNS.
See, the thing is like there can be two type of queries, right?
That is what,
for example,
one from the intranet, one from the external.
Internet. That's correct. Yeah.
If we are going from the internet, then we need not to require any LDNS. It will Big IP who will handle it.
Yeah. And
if it's coming from external, then they people have their LDNS. We cannot change the LDNS for everybody.
Correct. And they will get their LDNS will get iterative queries from the
Yes.
global DNS and find it out this F5 domain, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Make sense?
So this is basically for public hosting infrastructure. I mean,
it will
whatever
be
we are serving in DMZ, like for
right.
public hosting.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Okay. So it is bit like your tree structure. If I will talk about it, is bit like your tree structure, right? What happened in the tree structure? There is dot, okay, root. We can say root. After the root, there can be .com, there can be .edu, there can be .net, and maybe XYZ. Okay, any. In the .com also, there can be, let us say F5, let us say some more companies, NetMinion or whatever. Okay, within F5 also, let us just do two. Okay, support, sales, or maybe any. So this is some kind of hierarchy which will be keep on going using your domain, subdomain, blah blah. Okay, that kind of structure. Tree structure. Any doubts so far? No. So what is
all
a
good.
record? A record. You talked about a record. What is a record?
Your FQDN to IP address mapping.
Right. FQDN to IP. So it talk about IP address. What is PAD?
FQDN to IPv6.
IPv6. This is IP. What about CNAME?
It's canonical name, but I'm not sure what it is. Like
Okay.
read it. Now
Deepak,
escaped from my mind.
any idea, Deepak?
Yeah, we call it alias. One record is pointing towards another record.
Very good. So this is not your IP to IP. It never give you IP address. It is bit like Facebook.com is your A record, but you have an alias FB.com. So FB.com eventually will go to the Facebook.com. And there would be a record which will be changing it to the some IP address. Okay. What are NS records? Name server. NS means name server. So these determine which servers will communicate to the DNS to get the information for specific domain. So generally you have two name servers. One would be the primary, one would be the secondary.
So can you repeat this definition again? NS record.
So NS record means name servers. Name servers records determine which server will communicate DNS information for a domain.
Okay.
These will give you the IP address of Big IP DNS listener. Those will be your NS record. One, secondary, primary, whatever you have. Similarly, you can have MX record. These are for your mail exchange. Okay. There can be n number of records available, but actually I was just giving you the recap like what we discussed. Then let me tell you, we can have 5 main architecture design. Architecture design. for DNS. 5. I will be going to talk about them, not today, okay? But yeah, in coming classes, I will be going to talk about them one by one. Like, you can delegate, okay? Maybe I can say delegating DNS, okay? Which DNS? Traditional DNS. Traffic, okay? So we are delegating what? DNS traffic, total traffic to Big Ipdn DNS. And I will be going to talk about them. Only I will write down F5. Just to understand that when I am writing down F5, it means I am talking about DNS module only. So first is delegating DNS traffic to F5. Second one, you can replace. Firstly, I was delegating. Secondly, I am replacing a DNS server. So I am totally replacing DNS server with. Then I can redirect, maybe redirecting, let us redirecting DNS queries using something. I will be gonna come to them later on, okay? Maybe a little bit technical, but we will talk using a CNAME tool. Then we can place, or maybe I can say placing F5, okay? Placing F5 in front of DNS. When I am writing down DNS, it is traditional DNS. F5 means new DNS. One more can be this 1, 2, 3. This is one DNS queries, DNS servers. Yep. What we can do? Placing, okay, F5 in front of pool of DNS. So there can be pool of DNS, means more than one DNS. So one DNS or maybe more than one DNS. Actually, we will be gonna talk about these, all of the combinations later on. But yeah, these are the things maybe we in our upcoming classes, we will see all of these things. Okay. So we can use F5 in such of mode. Any doubt, by the way, before deleting it? Okay, maybe we will talk about that later on. Let me open a slide now, and I will be gonna talk about this. So DNS terminology. We have couple of the DNS things which we will be gonna talk in our day-to-day classes. Okay, like listener, pools, DNS profile, monitors, data center, virtual servers, link, and wide IP. These are very common terminology we will be gonna talk about. So if you see, the very first terminology is the listener. Can anybody gonna talk about the listener? Whatever you know.
Yeah, so listener is basically like in F5 terms is that listens for the particular service. It is an IP address or a virtual IP address, you can say. And yeah, that acts as a proxy and listen for the backend resources and provide a client with a website or application, whatever is hosted.
So I can say listener is a object. Okay,
Yep.
that listen to the DNS queries. Which are required for your DNS regulations. Okay, bit like accept the typical bind, which we will be going to talk about later on when we will make the bind to the F5 as an F5 will act as a bind, but yeah, later on we will not talk about that. So listener is assigned with a specific IP, as you are saying. Maybe protocol can be any UDP or TCP. Generally port. What is the port, guys?
53.
Yeah.
TCP UDP.
So generally the port 53 only. Okay. Then DNS listener will receive the DNS request and process to your one process, that is GTMD process. Then GTMD process will process the traffic locally or forward to the external DNS. As per the like 5 architecture what I talked about before some time. Either it will forward or maybe locally it will check. Depending upon the resource, depending upon the configurations, whatever configurations you have, depending upon that your listener will do. How? Because I told you FIDNS can import the zones from primary server. Transfer the zone means transferring all the resource record. FI will become authoritative server. Getting these points?
Yep.
So in FI, I will show you later on. You need to go to the DNS, then you need to go to the delivery. Okay. Then there is some listener thing, and you can just create a. And listener will get stored in your config file only, config directory or file, whatever directory may be the correct word. And the file will be bigip.conf only. Remember big IP conf? In the LTM also we talked about it. Maybe Robin, you were not there, but Deepak was there. So big IP.conf will create contain listener also, listener configuration. And listener will do one of the two things. Either the intelligent DNS resolution, or accelerate DNS resolution. I talked about it in very first class, where you also present, Robin. Can you let me know what was that?
So intelligent DNS resolution is basically, because we have provisions to set up to do the resolution to the nearest on the basis of geography, right? Whatever geographically nearest server is available, and whether it is available alive or not, right? The request will only get routed to the alive server. And accelerated is, so maybe the caching function.
Yeah, I will talk about it. So generally the wide IP we create, so it is intelligent DNS regulation, but in accelerated, let us say DNS Express. I don't know if you guys heard about it, but don't worry, I will be gonna talk about like DNS Express, or maybe assigning a pool of DNS servers. Okay, bit like those kind of things you can use, and at that time your F5 is acting as an accelerated DNS regulation rather than the intelligent one. Okay. So that is one thing I talked about the listener. So listener also you can configure in two ways, right? As I told you now, you can configure in two ways. If you have standalone IP, okay. If you have standalone big IP, okay. In that case, you will put the IP address of self IP address, okay, to the listener I am talking about. Listener IP and the self IP is same. If you have two FI in the HA mode, there would be floating IP, but obvious. Then we will be assigning floating IP to the listener. Don't worry. Maybe when we will come to the configuration, we will be going to talk about that later on in much detail. So that was your listener. I hope there should not be any doubt with the listener, right? So there are a couple of your maybe intelligent DNS resolution, if you will say. We have logical aspects, physical aspects, metric collection would be there with the help of monitoring, but load balancing aspect is there. So these are these are couple of aspects. Okay, let us go ahead and see one by one. So here, if you see, we can see the data center, we can see the servers, we can see the virtual servers, we can see the links. Virtual servers should be the logical, but it's all right. So there can be a couple of the. Okay, let me talk about one by one. Let us talk about data center. So what is data center?
Object.
Right.
I mean, data center in general, or in terms of GTM?
In terms of GTM, I'm talking about.
Yeah. Okay. So data center, like it's a object, like I mean, in the hierarchy. Yeah.
As it is showing over here, DNS. When we are talking about data center in DNS, these are grouping. Okay. The grouping of your services or your applications, typically those are located within the same physical location or maybe in same data center. Now the data center term, generic data center term I am using. Like here you can see Los Angeles and New York, there are two. Okay. So couple of the services, couple of the applications which are located into the same location can be come under the data center object. So data center configuration will allow Big IP DNS to understand the location of the service for the purpose of high availability. Okay, so it represents what? Group of service, we can say in a very layman terms. Let's go ahead. What are links? So link is a logical representation of the physical device, like your router that connects to the internet. These are the links. So in GTM or Big IP Local Traffic Manager, what we can say, it tracks the performance of the link, which influence the availability of your pool, maybe your data center, maybe your wide IP. Okay. So what is a link? Ensure that at least one data center exists in your configuration. Okay. Simply, you will go to the DNS and GSLB. You can find over there. We will be gonna check. We will be gonna do about all this configuration later on.
Sorry, the link is it a just a physical connection to the internet? Is that
Link
from
is
GTM?
logical representation of the physical device. Yes. Logical representation of your connection, maybe you can say.
Of your physical. Okay.
Similarly, you have servers, right? What are the servers? Physical form of your network, probably we can say. Yeah? Server contain maybe virtual server. If you will say virtual server contains the server only, right? In the backend. If we talk about the LTM stuff. But in your Big IP DNS, you can have the LTM as the server and there can be other LB which act as the server. Maybe more than one or maybe standalone, whatever. So they can be Big IP unit, they can be other stuff. So third party host can also act as the servers in the GTM. Okay.
The server is a actual end host, right? Where the service is.
No. Who are the actual hosts? These are the actual hosts.
Okay. LTM, GTM, load balancer.
There are three layers. Layer 1, layer 2, layer 3. For layer 2, 3 are the servers. For layer 1, 2 are the servers.
But why you have written GTM, LTM, GTM, load balancers, standalone servers?
Where? So earlier the GTM will come. Okay, let me tell you. GTM can also use dedicated. Need not to be have LTM and GTM both on the same node. Generally, we don't do that. Tell me why. GTM is exposed to the internet. So generally, it is a dedicated. Got this point?
Yeah.
So layer 1, this whole layer 2, or maybe not this whole, I need to like this, layer 2, and this, okay, maybe layer 2, layer 3. So this can be the thing. Okay. For 1, 2 are the servers. For 2, 3 are the servers. Any doubt?
Yep, all good.
Deepak? Any
Yeah.
doubt?
Does GTM also load balance, or it goes on round robin?
There are load balancing, but we will be gonna talk about them later on.
Okay.
Not only round robin. Okay.
So suppose like a GTM is used for internally as well as externally. So the GTM and IP will be different for both of them.
For both of them can be, and ideally it should be.
Okay. Ultimately, it is resolving DNS methodology only. Okay,
Right.
okay, fine.
Next is virtual server. So virtual server, as we are aware from the, let us say, LTM day, it is combination of IP address plus services, or maybe port, we can say. Okay, that point to a resource of the network. So in case of host server, this IP address and port number is likely to the resource itself. Okay. Same thing, but this time, when I am saying, let us say later on, I would be gonna talk about in the GTM pool, LTM would be acting as a pool members. So LTM VIPs will be your pool member. Don't worry, we will talk about that in the configuration. So we already talked about that there are some physical, there can be some logical, like you can see here. So virtual servers, pools, and the wide IPs. These are your logical things. What is the pool? Collection of virtual servers that can reside on multiple servers. Virtual server is what? Combination of IP address and port. Pool member is what? Pool member is a virtual server. Okay. So maybe a little bit confusing if you will, just compare it with your LTM days, but it's all right. We will be going to talk about wide IP. Let me just discuss in the next. So let's see here, wide IP. So wide IP, or we used to say is wide IP is nothing, but it maps FQDN, okay, to one or more pools. Pools are having containing the virtual servers. So a wide IP is what? Which maps a fully qualified domain name to one or more pools. So when an LDNS issue a DNS regulation for a wide IP, the configuration of wide IP indicate which pool of the virtual server are eligible to respond this request. And when you are creating your GSLB, you should have wide IP available. So again, you will go to the DNS, you will go to the GSLB. There is a wide IP thing which we will be gonna create. Don't worry, I will show you practically. Okay, but currently I am just taking it up so that you can you people can understand when I am teaching you what we are talking about. So in wide IP, you have some names or maybe some LICs. And when you are writing down the FQDN, okay, when you are writing down the FQDN, it support the wildcard also. In F5, you are aware there are wildcards. Can somebody tell me what is this means, this wildcard? Question mark.
Query?
This means to replace a single character except dot. And what does this mean?
This is everything like.
Right. Replacing maybe single or maybe multiple conjugative character.
Radhe, can you take 5 minutes break?
I will wrap it up earlier, but if still you want, we can take.
Okay. Actually, there is someone at the door.
Sure. Let us jump in.
Okay.
after that.
Okay.
I'll ask you questions in the meantime. Can
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. See, I understand, like, because I have a bit of experience working on LTM. So the VIP equivalent in terms of DNS is WIP, right?
No.
And-
No.
So,
Don't
I mean,
worry, I will gonna show you about all these configuration in the practical manner. Okay.
okay.
Just I am
Okay.
saying, what is this? This is FQDN mapping to the virtual servers.
Yeah. I got it.
Maybe
Alright.
you can resemble it to that, but not completely.
Not completely. Yeah. In a hierarchy, like we have a VIP pool members nodes over there. Here we have WIP, then the
FQDN.
actual VIP.
Here we have FQDN and pools, and the pool members would be the virtual server.
Virtual servers. That's correct. Yeah. All right. Okay. And yeah, and the pool members will be sitting in different separate data center. However, over there it's behind the same LB, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is it?
Right.
Okay. Cool. All right. Just trying to make a mind map of this thing, and also
till the practical not come, you cannot clear all the pictures if you don't have the prior let us say experience or exposure. But if you have, that's perfectly fine. But in any case, we need to go to the lab. We have our dedicated labs available.
Okay.
You need to create the lab with me, but that is for sure. You guys cannot skip with the lab for this module.
Yeah. No. It's not gonna happen. Yeah. So just a quick one. Regarding the internal applications, right? So, I mean, most of the time what happen is like if we have few internal staff corporate applications, right? If we need to do the GSLB for them, we can do that as well. For the external, it's fine. I understand it can be done. For the internal as well, can be done?
Yes, we will.
All right. Okay, cool. Got it.
For external and internal both.
And few of the applications are like we have external access as well, internal as well. Yeah. For that, I think it's the same FQDN. It's just a mapping with the two different IPs, public and private.
Even FQDN can be different.
FQDN can be different.
If
yeah,
you
internal dot
if
external
you want,
dot something.
Even
Yeah,
FQDN can be different. If you want same, it can be same also, depending upon your LDNS, right?
LDNS, right.
So
Yeah,
who would be the registrar? In the registrar, if you are, what kind of name and DNS mapping you are giving over there.
Yeah.
So it was your, NS records, right? Name servers. So by using those name servers, it will go to the big IP, and from big IP, it will take this up that, okay, what is my zone And in my zone, if we have wide IP, what are the IPs? It will just resolve and give. If we don't have the wide IP thing, we are using the DNS acceleration mode, then it will be gonna check with different resource. Okay, maybe he will come. Somebody came. Let us see. He
Yep.
said. So let's start. What I was talking about the wide IP, and I was saying it is FQDN. Let us say the wide IP name is dub my NetMinion .net. Okay, you can take this name. Then what I talked about, you can have question mark, you can have star. These wildcards are permitted. Now if I don't want to use dub, instead of dub, what I can use something else. Yeah, Deepak, so we didn't start anything. I just talking about that this is FQDN. Okay, and now if I wanted to change, I can use dub, and instead of www, it can be question mark, and in the question mark there can be any one digit. I can use my NetMinion.net, right? But if you don't want to get replace dub with question mark, let it be www. But here maybe instead of my, you can just put like that, and you can put NetMinion.net. Getting this point? Maybe if you don't want to use such a use number, you can use my and then star.net.
Sorry, what are we solving with the question mark? Just the domain, right?
Question mark means replacing single character. Replacing single character. It is saying single or consecutive. Maybe we can say multiple consecutive characters can also be there. Okay, in the star. Getting this point?
So is it a system generated, this question mark?
No, we are doing it. I am saying that how the wide IP names can be.
Ah, okay. Like
I am
this
saying
question
that, okay, how you need not to be the FQDN only. What I am saying, in your wide IP, you can just use such kind of stuff also.
Okay, yeah.
Let us say star.net.
Yeah.
No, like dub.star dot question mark.
Yeah.
So I'm just
Because
trying
in the
to
operating
tell you that
Mhm.
your wildcard also permitted in the wide IP names. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Any doubt, Deepak?
No.
Sure. That's good. So monitor and probes, I hope need not to tell, right? What are the monitors and what are the probes? So GTM perform the intelligent probing, I will say, for determining the network resources are up or down. Maybe the resources are up or down, I will say. Okay. So in some example, let us say if you have firewalls in between, then you need to open those probes, specific health servers. Okay. And these are if you have the F5 network only for the GTM and for the F5 LTM, I would say. Okay. So UDP protocol based collection will be get sent to get the metric information named as iQuery. Okay. iQuery communication between the GTM and your local LTM communication, I would say. But if you don't have the LTMs in between, you have some other load balancers, okay, then you can use simple health monitoring. So name resolution, we already talked about multiple times. Okay. So it will ask for www.fi.com It will go to the LDNS. From LDNS root server will send it to the .com. Okay, from the .com somehow it is going where? To the GTM, and GTM has wide IPs. Can you see this? Wide IPs. Now one of the wide IP would get provided, and your next communication will be gonna happen in between client and those servers. Any doubts so far here in this slide?
No.
Robin, clear to you also?
Yeah, all good. So iQuery is basically for the monitoring purposes, right?
Yeah.
Just a monitoring. Okay. So between the F5 units in each data center, you have to open those ports, whatever the iQuery use
Right,
for its comms.
Right. I will show you.
Alright.
Don't worry. In the practical, I will show you.
Okay, no worries. Cool. Yeah, all good.
But currently, in theory, I am just describing the overview,
Yeah, that's fine.
so
All
that
good.
when these thing will come on the practical part, you should not be able to see that. Okay, what are these?
Yeah.
Okay. So far all good. Then we will be using couple of utility. Okay, not limited to the one which I am showing you over the screen, but yeah, this is one of them. Like you can see dig. Okay, have you used dig ever?
Used it
Yeah, I have
long
seen
time
this.
ago.
My team was doing it on Blue Cat DNS server, but
Not
not.
only blue cat. Okay, we can see. Okay, I will show you. Don't worry. Like dig @ whatever your server. You can see here also, right?
This
Usage
server is destination or source?
destination,
Okay.
and then whatever your maybe let us say test.domain.com, whatever.
And this IP address is, what is this? This is our destination or
Destination. So this is what? This is your name server.
so it will give us all the DNS related information.
It will give you, yes, all the headers kind of stuff, flags kind of stuff. In the answer section, you will get CNAME, TTL value, A record, if there is, okay, what kind of received message size is, what kind of time is there, okay, on the server, whatever name server you are selecting here. So those kind of detailing you can get from the dig.
Okay.
And not only this, probably let us say you don't want all of this kind of stuff. There is something named as one more, maybe I will give you one more, thing. You can just use this keyword plus short. It will only result to the specific, like if you have some of the CNAME, it will give you the complete host a record kind of stuff. Not only this, we will be gonna use NS lookup. Okay, we will be gonna use let us say the simple logging, and the simple logging will be done how? That is not in the for the practical. Sorry, for the what to say production. Okay, but yeah, if you wanted to do in the this practical in the lab, we can do like TMSH. We will modify something in the sys. So what we will modify? In the DB, we will modify that GTM queries should also be visible or should also be logging, query logging. We can just do that. And we can say value enable. Once you do that, you can find into the var log GTM. Okay, like the var log LTM we have. Similarly, in var log GTM also, we can see all the queries that these queries are coming, these queries can be redirected, these queries is resolved, what is a record, what is BIP thing, all of these things. Don't worry, in the practical, I will be gonna talk about them, later on. But yeah, we will be using these utilities also. Then, but obvious TCP dumps. TCP dumps, very, what to say, very common and very effective, right? Like NNI 0.0, what is my host? Okay. and but obvious port number we can say 53, right? Then by verbose, if we are finding out something, it will be gonna talk about what kind of query we are receiving, from where we are receiving. All of those details we can get from the TCP dump. One thing very funny, just I remember because I am talking with you regarding Verilog GTM. Similarly, we need to find out Verilog LTM also. On the GTM box I am talking about. In which case? Anybody can tell me? In a specific case, we will see Verilog LTM as well.
Sorry, I missed this question. Verilog LTM. In which case we do
So
find
over
this?
over the GTM box, some of the queries we will check in the LTM, Verilog LTM. So what I am asking, do you know which case is that where we will not check the GTM logging but the LTM logging?
Maybe where we are only
Because
using
I
the
told you every query, if we enable the logging, it will come into Verilog GTM. But one of the query will be there in the LTM. And it is very special.
no.
It's all right. During the zone transfer, I will show you. During the zone transfer, it will show you the logs that, okay, this is succeeded. Okay, it will show you AXFR kind of logs that, okay, the zone is transferred successfully. Probably in the practical, I will be gonna talk about all of these details. But currently, I am providing you the overview how we will be, proceeding up, making the base, maybe you can say. So we will using ping, NS lookup, dig, and TCP dump. Okay, and more utility for the troubleshooting. And here we can see that we required a external PC, but obvious not the local GTM. That is fine. We will be gonna do that external PC only. So lab, if I'm not wrong, you people are aware about the lab, what kind of lab we have. Let me show you the next slide. This is your lab. Okay. So for today, maybe we are gonna wrap it up, but from tomorrow, I will jump on the lab and there are a lot of routing on the lab. I will ask you, please take the lab access by today itself. Okay. Ask Zoya, get it done, get it through, take the lab access. From tomorrow, I would be gonna jump on the lab, and on not Monday, sorry, on next weekend, only for the Saturday, I will take the all doubts all together for all of the candidates for the lab. Afterwards, I will not take any of the doubts. In my lab and your lab, there can be one change that you can see one internet connection over there. Okay, so that's hardly matter. Even if it is there, that is fine. Even if it is not there, I will use the net and I will do it. How? Probably I will be gonna talk about that. I will be gonna explain about that tomorrow. By tomorrow, I will be working on your workbook also, so that you can have a formal workbook available. Okay, and I can distribute this workbook to all of you, so that you can, if you have any problem with the routing stuff or anywhere, I will say again, I used to repeat it in every batch, in this batch also. Please take this subnetting only, whatever I am providing. Please stick to the same IPs, whatever I am using. But if you have 100% or maybe 200% confidence on your routing skill, free to use any, but I will not gonna troubleshoot those because it consumes so much time in the classes. So this is not our routing class. This is bit like GTM. Let's stick to the GTM only. So by that way, we can achieve, quicker our whatever our agenda is. So tomorrow, we will be gonna talk about the GTM lab, and we will be configuring it together. Maybe you can do it with me, or maybe you can do it later. You can understand in the class and post that by next weekend. I will say, please do all the practicals in the week whenever you have time. Try to spare some time. Okay.